Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
The Daggerheart Open Beta has us picking out our favorite D12s. We look at the massive scale of tech and media company layoffs, and what in the world is Sony doing with Spider-Man? That's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your Guild Master Ric Perry, the aggressively average lover.
Hey. And I am your Guild Master Baron Kane, and I am a year older, a year wiser, and already forgetting the day we do our podcast.
That's what I like to hear. Absolutely. Well, is there anywhere you want to start? I know we got a lot to talk about today.
I think that since I have it up on my computer right now, why don't we talk about Daggerheart?
Let's talk about Daggerheart. I am down.
So
I'm allowed to talk about it now.
Right. Obviously, I downloaded it as soon as, or not downloaded it. I went to working on it as soon as it came out.
Right.
Immediately made a character, and I fucking love it.
Okay.
I love it. Now, it could be because it's new, it's different, you know what I mean? It seems fun, the art's great. So I am more than willing to admit that this could just be novelty. However, I know nothing of the rules, and I made a character.
Yeah, I will give you that. It's pretty easy to make a character without knowing anything about how to play the game.
And they already have a program that helps you with the character, and you got a working character sheet at the end that you can access through an app, I believe, browser, and I think it looks great.
Now that I did not know about. I made all mine with paper. I did not know that there was a program.
Yeah, well, I say program, but it's a link, and it takes you to an interactive character builder.
Well, either way, I didn't know there was I didn't know there was a digital option. Yeah,
it takes you all the way through building the actual character. Like, it'll ask you questions, and you fill in the answer, and then it just fills in your character sheet.
That's pretty fucking sweet.
So I made my favorite D&D character ever, Dylan Goldenleaf. He is a halfling paladin, and for his experiences, because it's really, really hard to work in a character's backstory.
Oh, before you go too far, when you say halfling paladin on Daggerheart, that's halfling seraph, correct? Okay.
Right. My favorite character, though, is a halfling paladin. Yeah. So then I was going to get into the translation. But I love that they have the experience part. So you can take things about your character's backstory and pop it in there, and they benefit from it. Like, my character's experience is Dog Warden +2 and Explorer +1, because he was a Dog Warden. Right. So, yeah. But then, and then, as you said, there are no paladins, but there is something called a seraph, which is a paladin, or a cleric.
Yeah, it's kind of like the holy classes mashed all into one.
Right. That's the only character I've made so far. I'm feeling I'm about to go buck wild here pretty soon, though, and make about 80.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you if there is a digital option.
No.
It's too easy at that point.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even dove into the rules yet, though, like I said. But from what I've read of the game itself, or the character sheet itself, because the character sheet goes through some of those aspects of how they're used and stuff.
Right.
So I'm pretty happy with how it's looking so far.
Well, if you haven't looked through the rules yet, I can tell you there is a pretty easy to follow video put out by the makers of the game, featuring Spencer Stark and Matthew Mercer, that shows you exactly how to play the game. And the video is not super long, and it's super clear. They do say in the video, they're like, we know this is a lot to throw at you up front, but it always is if you're doing a new game system. I didn't think it was all that much. Then again, I am also very versed in TTRPGs. But as long as we're going to talk about how the game runs, once again, I'll start by saying love the game, but let's get into the things I don't like about it. First of all, there's a lot of physical components that are built into the way the game works that I feel could have been easily written out and still can. I mean, nothing's stopping you. It's your game. Nothing's stopping you from just writing them out yourself and not using all those physical components. So for everybody who's hearing this complaint and going, well, you could just not use them. I know that. I know I could just not use them. But the fact that they're here in the first place is my problem. And when you have something that you like this much and you're looking for things that are wrong with it, yeah, it's going to be smaller complaints like this. So starting with the action card, which is how initiative works in Daggerheart. Basically, there's this one card that you're supposed to print out and like set on the table. And every single player is supposed to have their own tokens, and each person's tokens is supposed to be different and representative of their character. They recommend about 7 tokens each for the character, but if you run out of tokens, that doesn't mean you run out of actions. It's technically an unlimited pool. They just recommend you have at least 7. But the point of this is when you start combat, it starts with the player's turn. And there is no initiative order. Everybody just goes as they feel it is narratively their turn. And so they can all work out together. Oh, I'm going to go. Now I'm going to go. Now I'm going to go. And they can take as many actions as they want. And each action they take one of these tokens of their character and place it on the action card. They do this until they either fail a roll or pass with fear. And we can get more into how that works in a minute. But then the DM gets to take their turn. The Game Master gets to take their turn. And how many moves the DM gets to do, or the Game Master gets to do, depends on how many tokens are on that action card. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Ooh, that sounds fun.
I like the mechanic itself. I don't like that you have to have all these tokens and an action card and stuff like that. Now, this could easily be solved with a digital tool or just by like keeping track on a piece of paper or a white erase board.
Yeah. If they can do stuff like Jackbox or the Ultimate Werewolf shit through apps and stuff like that, there is very easily a way for there to be an app and you can sign in as the GM. Everybody else signs in as a player, and it's like, there's your tokens.
Right.
I can see that.
But I think, and this could just be my conspiracy theory brain against anybody and any corporation and any company, I feel like they're incorporating all these physical items into the game so they can sell things afterwards.
Absolutely. I hate to think that they're already kind of like, jumping onto that bandwagon to commercialize everything about it. But at the same time, it's like, at least they're coming out the gate with it where, you have to buy this stuff. And you know what? That's fine. We're gamers. We're going to find ways around it.
Yeah.
We don't need to buy tokens. We can use coins or anything like that. We could use anything the fuck we want. And they know that. They have to. I think Matt Mercer is a smart enough gamer to know that they could put anything they want like that in there, and we can bypass it any way we want.
Yeah, absolutely. But just to finish my rant on all the physical elements of this game,
go for it.
There's also there's several decks of cards. Like when you pick your ancestry, community, and class, those are all represented by cards that you're supposed to print out and keep with your character sheet, as well as your domain cards, which is how you get abilities. And you start out with I want to say it's like 2 domain cards at level 1, and you're supposed to print out all these cards and keep them with your character. And then as you level up, you get more cards.
I will say this, the link keeps track of that.
Yeah. As you continue this, you get more cards, and then eventually, once you get more than 5 cards, you keep 5 cards active at any given time, and then switch them out as need be, so your character always has 5 cards active. It's still a lot of components, in my opinion. Sure. Whereas, like, in a system like Dungeons and Dragons, that would just be like spells and then like prepared spells, and you just write it down. Nothing's stopping you from just writing it down on your Daggerheart character sheet,
right?
Or whatever other piece of paper you want to keep up. Or now that I know about the digital tool, I honestly didn't know about it until just now as we sat down to record. Like I said, there are other ways around it, but like I said, I'm just looking for negatives because there are a ton of positives when it comes to the game. And I feel like it was built that way just to sell components after the fact. Because as of right now, of course, they're not selling anything in the beta, but afterwards they can go, oh, you need character tokens? Here are these cool individual character tokens based off of each of the classes or each of the ancestries. And now you can buy these tokens. Aren't they shiny and cool? And the same thing with the cards. Or they could have like card books like Mage Wars used to have, where you keep your little domain cards in the card books, and you have these cards. And they'll have like premium domain cards, which are like, actually printed on cardstock and, waxed and like laminated or whatever.
And we can get hollow ones, and shiny ones and foil ones.
You're getting excited about this, and I see that. But like, that's my problem, is the fact that it's built in. Like, I would have set with me better if it wasn't like a built-in thing. Like if they had just been like, here are these domain abilities, and then later on gone, oh, but we made these cards. Kind of like D&D did.
D&D and the magic stuff,
Yeah, where they sold the spell cards separately, but you don't need them. They're just extremely helpful.
But think of it in the reverse.
Yeah.
They're just starting out with them.
Yeah, I get it.
But I get what you're saying too.
Yes.
It feels wrong.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, I know I can get around it, but why'd you put it there?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly that.
I get it. I do. But I think the reason why I'm excited is because those options are there from the jump if I want to.
Yes. But
if I can't, because I don't have the money, or I don't want to, I can get around it.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I'd like to think that we both have valid points, and you and I are going to meet in the middle somewhere. I think we already have, actually. So,
look, let's be real, okay? On the flip side of this coin, now that I'm done complaining, okay?
You mean the token?
Yes, the flip side of this token, the other side of the D2. So me and my gaming group, who I normally play other TTRPGs with every week, sat down and created characters for Daggerheart together.
Right.
And basically, me assuming I'm going to be the GM for this game, like I am with all of our other games, I sat down and led them through character creation. And everybody had a blast creating their own character, especially when it came to, there is a spot called Connections, where you speak with the other characters in your group, the other players in the group, about how your characters are connected. And that's part of the character creation process. And I love that that's baked in. There have been a lot of tools that I've used in the past for my gaming group and other gaming groups where you can add that in with other TTRPGs, but it's not like baked in to begin with. And I love that it's here from the start. And like you brought up the experiences, what I did for Connections and Experiences is I would take each of them off one by one and talk to them about their experiences and help them figure out what they would make as their two experiences, their +1 and their +2. While the rest of the group sat and talked about Connections. And one by one, I'd take them out and reinsert the other person and let everybody come up with really cool connections instead of just like two people talking to each other and making their two characters connected on all three spots. By removing one person one at a time, it made it so all your connections had to be with everybody. You're talking to different groups of people each time I removed a character from the process to work on their experiences.
That process. But, I mean, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of experienced GMs are going to go into this and they're going to make it theirs.
Oh, yeah.
and it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see what newer GMs do with this. You know what I mean? Like brand new people, maybe not brand new to gaming, but I want to see how it goes.
It also seems to be written very much to a style of GMing that you are familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said you didn't read too much into the rules, but it is very much you and your players creating a world together. Like the idea of it is you start with your continent and you literally like ask your players, okay, what's the name of the continent? And they name it. And then you get into a city and then you ask your players, what's the name of the city? You go to a tavern and you're like, you ask your players, what's the name of the tavern? Like this is what's written in how to play the game. Now, of course, as a GM, you could build your own world and have your players play in that world, but this is how it recommends you play the game, which is very much a style I know that you like.
Oh, yeah.
And then somebody might ask, you go into that inn. Go ahead.
Oh, and actually, Dylan, he is from a world where we did that.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that he's the one that I chose to do this with, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And once you go into the inn, your players might ask, okay, is there somebody working the bar? Is there somebody over at the table? And you go, yes, there is. Who is it? And they can decide who's in the tavern, who can they talk to, you know? And it's very much player run. Now, when it comes down to the basic mechanics, the new feature that is going to be different from people who are familiar with older TTRPGs is going to be the fear die and the hope die, which is the basic mechanic of the system, and you're rolling 2 d12s. Every time your player wants to take an action, they're rolling 2 d12s and adding those numbers together. And the 2 d12s have to be separately colored, and one of those is labeled as their fear die, and one is labeled as their hope die.
I need to get a yellow and a blue die.
All right, yeah, fucking lantern nerd. Which is another nitpick I'd say I have with the system, because your standard polyhedral set does not come with 2 d12s, and they're most certainly always the same color. So
I think
you're going to need to buy two set of die.
I think this game is taking into account that anybody playing this is an experienced GM and gamer.
Yeah, like they're assuming there's a few dice hanging around.
Yeah, because like you could make that argument as like because you can make that argument. You don't have 2 d12s that come in a set, but then you're going to have all these gamers like, I've got 85 d12s.
Yeah, like I said, it's a nitpick.
Right.
So,
and also, can I point out too? It finally gives us a reason to use those d12s.
Yes. Other than being a barbarian and swinging a great axe, because that was the only reason. The only reason those d12s existed before. I am a barbarian and I own a great axe. That is it. But yeah, you take those two, you add them together, and then you that decides whether or not you beat the difficulty of the task at hand. But the way that works is if your hope die is higher between the two, then you succeed with hope. And if the fear die is the higher of the two, then you succeed with fear. And succeeding with hope is, a true success. You get exactly what you wanted. Succeeding with fear, you succeed in the thing, but there are consequences decided on by the GM. And then if the two numbers are exactly the same, that's a crit. That's a critical success. Now, if the number is lower, you can also fail with fear or fail with hope. And those all have their own consequences as well. And then there's a hope mechanic in the game itself where you can actually gain hope and use it as a resource. And then there's stress and all these other little things. But that's the main new mechanic, is this hope die and this fear die that's going to be different for most TTRPG players.
Right.
And that gets me to my very last nitpick.
All right.
As a GM, I always hate the succeed with consequence. Like games that have you succeed with consequence, because now I have to come up with consequence every time they succeed with consequence, and that's not always the easiest thing to do. That's not the easiest thing to come up with on my feet, out of nowhere improv when I'm asking for a roll.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always easier, definitely easier to come up with you succeed and something awesome happens.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird? Why is that weird? Is it because we don't want to do bad things to our players?
It probably has something to do with it, yeah.
All right.
But for me, it's difficult to come up with a succeed with consequences that doesn't feel like a failure.
Right. I think, you know what? No, you say that, and it really makes me think of the Powered by the Apocalypse system.
Exactly.
Because that's one of the main things I didn't like.
Exactly that.
It's like, okay, but I think that the problem there is it's way too hard to just succeed, way too easy to succeed with something bad happening, and then you fail. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like you're going to succeed most of the time, but most of the time you're also going to succeed with something bad happening. It's like I don't like that.
Yeah.
At least this it's
like a 50-50.
better. Yeah.
Because you got about a 50-50 shot of one die or the other being higher.
Right. So I mean that's good. I'm liking it. But yeah, I think we're kind of meeting in the middle there.
Yeah. Like it's one of those things where it's not actually a complaint. Most of these things aren't real complaints. It's nitpicks.
Right. Nitpicks. But like we both have already said, I haven't dove into the playtest materials yet. So I'm sure once I dive in, I'm going to have some nitpicks. I mean, we even have some of our Discord followers already posting nitpicks about it.
Yeah.
Which, fine. Please do. Because you know what? You may bring up something I didn't notice.
And the other thing is, another reason I'm nitpicking so hard is, like I said, I was invited to the closed beta, and I definitely sent them some nitpicks as part of the closed beta. And now this is an open beta. They want you to play and then tear this game apart. This is not the final release of this game. There are going to be problems, especially once rubber meets the road. Once you actually get in there and play these games, you're going to find things that aren't balanced. You're going to find things that just straight up don't work. And the idea is, yes, do talk about those things. Fill out those surveys. Get the Darrington Press, get them these complaints, get them these nitpicks, because the more they hear that same nitpick or that same complaint, the more likely we're going to get a game that's closer to perfect once we get the actual release.
Fun fact, too. If you go to debbieplane.com, do the whole character sheet stuff, make your character, there is a tab in the character sheet that says feedback.
Mm-hmm.
You can go in there and put in all your feedback. And I'm pretty sure it's just for the character sheet, but it's also asking, was the game difficult to play? How did you feel about the combat? So this is assuming you've made a character and you've used it in game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they are definitely wanting feedback.
And I'd say there's a pretty good chance we will make an effort to play this game very soon, record it, and get an actual play of it up for you as well, so you can hear what actual gameplay sounds like.
Right. And actually, I am also pretty sure that we are... if I had to guess, you and I both are going to run at least one session.
Probably.
Because we are probably going to be the ones running this.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if it's in a guild context. I'm going to want to play. I'm sure you're going to want to play.
Here's my idea.
Okay.
And I'll cut this out if you hate this idea.
But leave that part in.
The way I run games is pretty much 100% off of pre-written modules. And I usually do tweak them and make them my own and make changes to them, but that's just how I like to run games.
Right.
So, the open beta has a pre-written adventure in it.
Okay.
So I start and run the first game using the pre-written adventure in the module. Then you pick up and run the next game with the same players, except I replace you. My character replaces your character. You run the next one and continue the story completely improv from your brain.
I like it. Wait, I mean, I hate it.
Oh, we're cutting it out.
Now we have to...
The whole thing. All right, welcome to this episode of Casters.
Oh, shit. Well, I will say this. I already assumed it was going to be like that. Not even kidding.
I
already assumed
just had that idea.
Yeah, no. as soon as I was thinking about us running for the guild, and it wasn't even today, it was, I'm thinking about it, and I was like, he's probably going to run just a set adventure. I'm going to stay up for 3 days straight, and I'm going to improv it the whole way.
Because that's your style. That's what you do.
Yep. What's funny, too, is I've been seeing videos on YouTube popping up where they're talking about, they're like, you want to see me improv a whole D&D session? And it's like, I did a whole campaign like that. I was lucky to remember what happened between all the games.
You did a really good job of that, though.
Hey, thanks.
All right, now that we spent 30 minutes talking about Daggerheart, and let me just say, once again, those were all nitpicks. I love the fact that it is story-driven. I do love the new combat system. Even though I didn't like the token thing, I love the fact that the players can take as many actions as they want until they fail, and then it's the DM's turn. And however hard the DM hits after that depends on how hard they hit in the beginning. You could theoretically have whole combats where the enemies don't do anything. The players just steamroll because they're just rolling that well. And let me tell you, from the player side, that's going to feel so good if they can do that. It's very unlikely it happens for every combat, because if it did, it wouldn't feel good anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But, once your players can come in against, like, a group of skeletons and just kind of steamroll that whole group of skeletons because, like, they're just badasses and rolling well, that's going to feel amazing for them. I like the hope system. I like the stress system. I love the heritage thing, where you have your community and your ancestry comes together to make your heritage. So good.
And not only that, think of all of the new ancestries and, backgrounds that are going to come out that are going to just act. I have a buddy who went through the whole thing. He's very critical of things, and he said that he gave it a 7.9 out of 10. So that's a pretty good score from him. So
not that people wouldn't already do this on their own, but if you read the beta and the materials, it gets to a list of things that are not included in this beta, but plan to come out soon. And including that in that is blank community cards, blank ancestry cards, blank class cards, blank domain cards for you to fill out on your own and create your own shit. So
I've noticed that this is going to be really easy to make shit.
Yeah.
Because, like, you could come up with your own D&D ancestry. Sure. But there is so much stuff that goes into making a D&D ancestry. Yeah. And a lot of it comes down to balance. And, if you don't fucking playtest that thing out, we all know how hard it is to make one because they fucked Kender up so bad. Even they can't do it right sometimes. So this seems to be way easier, I think.
It's when you only have to worry about, when it comes to an ancestry, the only thing you really have to worry about is creating one ability for that ancestry. It's a whole lot easier to make sure you're creating stuff that is balanced.
And it's not even a crazy, it's not even like a crazy ability.
Mm-mm.
It's good, but it's not like a game changer. I could probably play this game just fine without an ancestry boost, but it's fun.
Yes,
I am excited to get into the rules though, because I want to know what the mechanics are behind a handful of gold.
Okay, I won't spoil it for you then.
Awesome, thank you. All right, moving on. Jeez, we went back to it after we said we were moving on.
I just had to gush for a bit because I feel like all I did was tear it apart. So, like,
that's fair.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the things our guild officers handed us to talk about, especially things that we missed in the last episode.
And let me tell you, how happy am I that we have hired these guild officers to do the work that we don't want to do. God, this is what it's like to have it made. Great.
And they work just for, peanuts. Like, we don't have to even have to shell them. We just...
I have noticed that they gave us some a healthy list of bad news, though. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Well, let's start from the top. Rooster Teeth is shutting down.
That's crazy.
Is it? Here's the okay.
No. Hold on. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that, they're putting out quality stuff and they're making a lot of money. I can't believe they're shutting down. It's crazy because they've been around for so long.
Yeah, that's my thing. I think a lot of people are making a bigger deal out of this than it is. And look, if you're a Rooster Teeth fan, no shade. Red versus Blue, great. Ruby, great. There's plenty of other things they've done, but like, what has Rooster Teeth done lately?
What have you done for me lately, Rooster Teeth? What have you done for me lately?
It gets real easy to see why a parent company would shut down this branch, especially seeing as how recently they had gotten up to over 400 employees. Rooster Teeth is employing over 400 people, and if you look at their YouTube channel, you have channels. Look, I'm just going to pull one at random. Cinnamon Toast Ken.
Okay.
Has him, Buff Pro, and an editor, and that is his staff. That's 3 people. And he's getting 4 times the views that Rooster Teeth are on their YouTube channel. And they're employing 400 plus people.
Yeah.
That they all have to pay. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, in shutting down or looking to sell a lot of these properties, they are laying off 150 people, which still really says something about Warner Brothers there. And not that I love Warner Brothers as a company, but once again, like I said last episode when talking about Netflix, let's lampoon them for the things they deserve being lampooned for, not the things they're doing that are actually good. If you're shutting down an entire branch that's 400 plus people and only laying off 150, that's not bad. And some of the stuff from Rooster Teeth is still staying, like their successful podcast is still staying going. Like they're not stopping that. It's just a lot of these series like Ruby and Red versus Blue and stuff like that. We haven't seen anything new out of it. So they're looking to sell off those properties, shut down the branch, and maybe whoever gets a hold of them will see something good out of it.
Hopefully.
And actually...
And I will say, they're definitely not the Rooster Teeth that I remember now.
Yeah.
So the old man in me is like, yeah, they died a long time ago.
The little behind the scenes here, a little inside baseball. A lot of the original founders of Rooster Teeth, when they started, that was the era of YouTube with MCNs. And like the end goal of a YouTube channel was to get purchased by like an MCN. And a lot of those people who originally founded it, as soon as they got bought, they dipped. They took their money and run. So, and a lot of people have done that since then from the company, just like as they continue to get purchased by larger companies, all the way up until WB got their hands on them. And like, they were like, well, we got bought out, and that was our goal. So,
I mean, in case anybody is wondering why we don't have any more epic rap battles, I mean,
we do though. They recently put one out, and it wasn't good. It was not.
It's one a year. Good. They put out like one a year now.
Yeah. But yes, that is the reason. Is because of MCNs. And like I said, the one they released very recently, it was Godzilla versus King Kong, and it was not good. Jesus. It was not good at all.
Is it still Epic Lloyd and Nice Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But like the writing was not there.
Look, I'm pretty sure they cashed out after that whole thing. I think cashed out of epic rap battles. I think they're still doing stuff with other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure they're funny. They're great. They're doing their own thing. They may even be doing some stuff within that parent company now, which is, Disney. So more power to them. I wish them the best of success.
But as long as we're on the topic, I do have a list here of recent major media and tech layoff announcements. Whereas WB laid off 150 people from Rooster Teeth because they're closing that branch. Let's just talk about just this year.
Just this year. Okay.
I'm going to go through these quick. So if there's any of these you actually have a comment on or want to talk about, just stop me, okay?
Yeah.
You got Video Amp announced they're laying off 20% of their staff. Duolingo laying off 10% of their staff. Amazon laying off hundreds. Google laying off hundreds. Audible laying off 5%, NBC News laying off between 50 and 100, Discord laying off 17%, Universal Music Group laying off hundreds. Pitchfork announced that they are doing layoffs, but is undisclosed. YouTube laying off 100 employees. Sports Illustrated possibly laying off the entire staff.
Holy shit.
Riot Games laying off 530 people. Microsoft Gaming laying off 1,900.
Oh my god!
Business Insider laying off 8%. UK's Channel 4 laying off 200. TechCrunch laying off 8.
Oh.
Snapchat laying off 10%. Well,
to be fair, the one that's laying off 8, they only had 10 employees to begin with, so that's a big hit, guys. That's a big hit.
Not verified. Snapchat laying off 10%. Sirius XM laying off 160 people, which is 3%. Paramount Global laying off 800 people, which is 3%. Now This laying off 26 people, which is 50%. BuzzFeed laying off 16%. Vice Media Group laying off several hundred. PlayStation laying off 900 people, which is 8%. EA, Electronic Arts, laying off 670 people, which is 5%. And Deadspin, the site got sold, so 100% of their staff, which was 11 people.
Hey, we got to make those shareholders happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, apparently that's the most important thing. But my biggest point is the 150 out of the 400 doesn't seem quite as bad, seeing as how they're closing down the entire branch. They are at least finding jobs for the rest of that staff.
Well, it kind of also makes me wonder what staff they are looking to keep. Like, Rooster Teeth had executives. So
Fair.
Are they trying to keep most of the executives? Well, I mean, you know what I mean? Are they just laying off all the grunts like me and you? I don't know.
Hopefully WB's going, we have enough executives. They're probably not doing that, but that would be nice if that's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's just the amount of layoffs. That, like I said, that's just this year. It's March. That's insane. Especially when it comes to the tech and media space. That's not a space where money isn't coming in. There should not be these many layoffs.
That's why I said it's the shareholders. The shareholders aren't making the money they want, or they're afraid of not, like, they're making the money, but they want to maintain that level of money. So they're laying people off so they can maintain that level of money. And it's like, bitch, you can afford it. The company
or how many of those employees are getting replaced by AI? I mean, it's media and tech. How many of those employees are getting replaced by AI?
Holy shit. Wow. Oh man, you just kind of opened up a little void in my head now that's just like, oh, that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
Let's put our tinfoil hats on. The robots are taking over.
No. Oh my god.
You don't need an entire staff of writers when you can just have AI write 100 articles and have 2 guys edit them.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. On to less sad news. Apparently, Akira Toriyama died.
Oh God. Why you gotta call that less sad news? It's
I'm not saying it's not sad. That whole conversation just destroyed me, though.
Equally sad news. All right. I'm gonna take a minute. Okay. As long as we're talking about this, because I don't think I can say anything that hasn't already been said. I do not have a perspective as a nerd or a weeb, a manga reader, a gamer, that is different from those who've already spoken out. But I will say Dragon Ball was one of my first, if not my first anime. My first convention I ever went to was an anime convention because I was super into anime, because I was super into Dragon Ball, and I don't think I would be the nerd that I am today if not for Akira Toriyama, and he will be missed.
Well, I can back that up with me as well. The first top-down turn-based RPG I ever played was Dragon Warrior, which, he had a heavy hand in.
All the art.
That opened up the doorway to Final Fantasy, which was my favorite top-down turn-based RPG. Not to say that the Dragon Warrior ones are bad. I fucking love them. Dragon Warrior 4 is still up there as one of my favorite.
And Chrono Trigger is fucking amazing.
Oh, I haven't got to play Chrono Trigger, which everybody judges me for, but
they should. They should. They're right in judging you.
But yeah, no, he had a huge and profound impact on so many of us. Dragon Ball is probably one of my first anime, if you don't count Akira, which I don't.
So, like I said, I don't have a unique perspective, but I'll tell you who does is other mangaka. Mangaka, by the way, is someone who writes and draws manga. Other mangaka who were inspired by Toriyama. And I have a list here of short quotes of other mangaka that I'm going to go over one by one, just to let you know what they said about Toriyama after finding out about his passing. Starting with Toyotaro, who was in charge of Dragon Ball Super. They said, I drew manga because I wanted to be praised by Toriyama sensei. That was it for me. Masashi Kishimoto of Naruto said, I've just learned of my sensei's death, and I'm overcome by a feeling of emptiness, even worse than when Dragon Ball ended. Ichiro Oda from One Piece said, I hope that the paradise is as pleasant as you imagined it in your manga, sensei. Hiro Mashima of Fairy Tail said, without Toriyama sensei, I wouldn't have become a mangaka. I'm very sad. Yusuke Murata of One Punch Man said, I can't seem to feel that he's really passed away. Maybe it's because, for me, he's always been like a star in the sky, even in life. Tetsuya Endo of Spy Family said, without Toriyama sensei, I probably wouldn't have set my sights on becoming a mangaka. Even now, I still think of myself as a child, looking forward to Dragon Ball every week. Yuki Tabata of Black Clover said, Dragon Ball was the start of my life in manga and will forever remain my #1 manga. And Yugo Kobayashi of Aoashi says, it was thanks to Dragon Ball that going to school became fun. Toriyama sensei, you're my hero, my Goku. I sincerely thank you for everything.
These guys, Jesus. But, I mean, that just, again, goes to show, you know, we're just a couple American dudes who, you know, watched Dragon Ball or played Dragon Warrior. Then you have these guys who are actually into manga, and, I mean, it's not part of our culture as a whole. It is, like, you know, comic books are part of our culture as a whole. Manga is their comic books.
Yeah.
And not even just that. I mean, they have actual... And I'm not trying to say this to sound insulting, but it is actual entertainment over there. Comic books here aren't
it's mainstream.
Actual, yeah.
It's mainstream, whereas like over here, it's like subcultures, and
right.
You know, if you're a nerd or a weeb, then you're into it.
Yeah.
It's not considered the mainstream.
Correct. So you have these people who are influenced by their day to day, and it's influenced their career path. And yeah, I can see how that would wreck a person, for sure.
I know for a long time it was popular to bash on Dragon Ball once, you know, a lot of quote unquote good anime started to come out. But like, y'all need to stop and think for a second. First of all, Dragon Ball's fucking amazing. And second of all, the manga that you do like, a lot of it wouldn't be there if not for Akira Toriyama. So pay your respects.
And yeah, and I've noticed too that it's apparently it's totally in for people to just bash Shonen. Period.
Yeah.
So until they do something amazing, and then they're like, "Oh, I love it."
Until it becomes cool again. People love being contrarian. All right. So another thing we forgot to talk about last week is they did announce X-Men 97 is coming back. It's not a reboot. It's a continuation. They're
got a trailer
up the story
and everything
right where it left off. So good news. First of all, it looks great. A lot of people are saying that like the art is different and they don't like certain aspects of it.
Which fucking blows my mind, because it's like, you want them... Like, one of the biggest problems I had when I was young watching this shit was, oh, you know what? This stuff's fun. Man, the animation sucks sometimes. I wish that the animation wasn't really good only every 5 episodes. Wonder why they do that, money. And it's just, I want something better.
I think the biggest complaint I've seen is them stealing Rogue's butt.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. But if you want to sexualize cartoons, I'm not kink shaming. That's, do what you want to do.
There are websites for that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just one of the things I always thought when I was younger is like, I just wish some gigantic corporate conglomerate would just step in and give this.
That was your exact thought.
Stop. Step in and just give this show the quality it needs.
Oh, you were right. You look before. I'd like to.
10-year-old Brad was very weird. Okay.
Look, this is episode 2. And like at the beginning, before the season even started, you made like a joke post in our Discord that we've gone corpo. And in these 2 episodes, we've defended Netflix, we've defended WB, and now you're talking about how you wish some giant corporation would buy X-Men.
Wait, and it did it twice.
Yeah.
They bought X-Men twice.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's it. Season 5. We went corpo. That's what happened.
Yep. Though, thinking about it, you know what they have every ability and right to do, I believe? I think.
What's that?
I'm almost positive that they can continue Spider-Man the Animated Series.
They could. Well, no, because that's Sony right now, I think.
Yeah, you say that, but the Daily Bugle showed up in that trailer.
Okay.
So... And they're doing that Peter Parker Spider-Man cartoon on there, too.
Disney does have rights to the cartoons. It's just movies and video games that Sony has.
I think that they should do it just to kick Sony in the balls. Just fuck them.
All right, you know what? I have more to say on that. But
okay, all right.
On the bad side of X-Men, so the season 1 hasn't even been released yet. Season 2 has already finished its scripting, and they're already in talks about a season 3. But right after they finished scripting season 2, Bo DeMaio, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, who was the creator and showrunner, got fired. And as of right now, it has not been revealed the reason. Like, it hasn't been released to press. Like, Disney has not said, Bo has not come out and said, but that's pretty sketch, Disney. You're going to have this person write 2 seasons and then boot them. I'm not going to say too much about it other than that, because I don't know why. For all we know, this person could have been involved in a abuse scandal. I don't know. But
yeah, until we know more.
Yeah. But it's a little sketch. It's a little sketch that you have this person write 2 seasons for you and help direct the entire thing, and then boot them while you're in talks for season 3.
Yeah.
But let's talk more about Sony and Spider-Man right now, because they're fucking flailing. They're drowning because they don't, for some reason, they have no idea what to do with this character, and I don't know how it is escaping them. Because there are things that they've done that are fantastic. And all they'd have to do is follow those blueprints. And they keep trying to do all these other things. What the fuck was Madam Web? What is it?
Madam Web is a Madam of the Webs.
I know who the character is as far as comic books go. And as far as that 90s TV show you were just talking about goes. Fuck, that's the biggest reason they need to bring back that 90s TV show, who Madam Web really fucking is. And just really slap Sony with that one. But, like, what the fuck is that movie? What is that movie?
I wonder if that's part of the deal with Sony. They're like, please, God, please don't bring back Spider-Man animated series. Please.
You can keep using Tom Holland Spider-Man. Just don't do...
You're going to make us look so dumb. No, that's you, Sony. You're doing that.
And then recently there was a Spider-Man game whose concept trailer got leaked that looked fucking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And Sony was just like, nah, we're not going to do that.
What?
Yeah, like that concept trailer was leaked for a canceled game.
Oh, man.
Like, the game was canceled before that concept trailer was leaked.
Jeez.
And now Sony is, I think it's in order to make the money back from the theatrical release of Madam Web. I think they're trying to like scramble for money here. They are putting a limited release of every live action Spider-Man movie in theaters throughout the summer. So all the Tobey Maguire ones, all three, both of the Andrew Garfield ones, and then all of the Tom Holland ones, all leading back up to No Way Home coming out again, where we see all three Spider-Men. I'll be honest, if I can find the time and the money to do it, I'll probably go see all of them, because I've always been a webhead. Spider-Man's always been my favorite, and there are good things to say about all of those movies. As much as there are bad things to say about Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2,
in case anybody wonders why he just shifted gears just a wee bit there, because you can't see me, I involuntarily gave him the most dubious face I've ever gave anybody before in my life.
It was a very much, is there?
Yeah, they could easily have put me into that Thor meme. Real easy.
But I think it's just nostalgia, and like I don't care as long as Spider-Man's swinging around on screen. I'll probably still try to go see all of them, and I hope Sony doesn't get the wrong message from people going out and spending money to see these movies. I hope that they realize that what they should be doing with Spider-Man from this happening.
I still cannot help but giggle, and I mean that giggle, that Sony legit thought that everybody wanted Morbius re-released because it was so good.
Here's the thing.
Wait, are you not about to defend Sony, are you? Because
No.
we will go full corpo after this.
I just don't think that's why they re-released it. I don't think that they really thought that it was so good that people wanted to keep watching it. I think they saw the uptick in sales and people talking about it, and they knew people would go see it for the meme. And they were like, hey, free money. Like, I don't think they cared that people were hate watching it or meme watching it. They just wanted the tickets.
Well, it failed again, so whatever.
Yes, it did. Big time. But as I've stated before, I don't know how Sony can look at how successful the Spider-Verse movies are and how successful the video games are and not lean so much harder into those.
I will say this, and I'm going to promote a YouTube channel. If anybody gets the time, go to Screen Crush and look for, after Madam Web, Marvel could sue Sony for the rights of Spider-Man. Just give it a watch. It definitely says that as a way to get you to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into the hows and the whys, and could they? Why wouldn't they be able to? He has a lawyer on there to talk about this stuff. It's really interesting points. Very interesting points, and I hope Disney watched it with their legal team and got some ideas.
I feel like if there were any 100% avenue that Disney could go down and win, they would have already gone down it. Because
I think that I think that honestly, if they were waiting for it, you'd have to watch the video.
Yeah.
You know, fuck it. Basically, the point of the video is Madam Web. Like, this would be their defense. This would be their argument.
Case.
Yeah, their case. Yeah, Madam Web and its failure has so tarnished the Spider-Man franchise that it is hurting Marvel, not the MCU. Well, that too, but Marvel, because the layman sees the Spider-Man movies, right? They see Tom Holland, but then they see him in the MCU movies, so now they think, oh, it's the same thing.
Right.
Now I'll tell you, it's fucking true, because every person that's like, oh, Venom's going to show up in the MCU, and it's like, that's not how it works. Spider-Man can show up because he's part of the deal. Yeah. All the other Sony properties are not part of the deal.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I get kind of tired of talking about that shit sometimes. Yeah. Because it's like, well, I mean, there for the longest time with, Endgame, they were like, oh, I bet Wolverine's going to show up. It's like, you don't know how these things work.
Yeah.
So I think that attitude, it's really not that far-fetched with Madam Web doing as badly as it did, I could absolutely see them making the case that it is hurting the profits and name of Marvel and the MCU.
But whether or not that is actually legally
right.
Like that's pretty far fetched.
Well, hey, a lawyer was talking about it, and we all know that lawyers tell the truth.
Yeah, 100% of the time.
Yep,
they have to legally.
Legally. And it was on YouTube, and everybody knows everything.
You have to tell me if you're a lawyer. If
right.
I ask. It's the law. You can't lie about that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Disney was sitting there waiting on bated breath when the Apple Plus deal was going on, when Sony was talking about putting a Spider-Man series on Apple Plus, because due to a legal loophole they would have given up the rights to Spider-Man if they had done that. So Disney was sitting there waiting, and they were ready for that one. So I feel like if there's any legal precedent for them to get Spider-Man, they'll fucking do it. But hey, who knows? I'd love it if that's how it happened. Not that I'm rooting, once again, not rooting for the corporation of Disney, but I'd like somebody who actually knows what they're doing with Spider-Man to have Spider-Man.
Yeah, either way, there's going to be a big corporation that owns it. So I might as well benefit from it. So if a big corporation owns him and I'm not benefiting from it, then I don't want it. Right. Now, I will say this. If they won't let Disney buy Spider-Man and they can't sue for the rights, I hope that Sony keeps pumping out these horrible movies and bankrupts themselves. They keep pumping out these movies in the hope of keeping the rights to Spider-Man, and they blindly just keep pumping out movies, again, just to keep the rights of the Spider-Man property, and they just fucking bankrupt themselves. I hope beyond hope. You know what? Marvel, stop cooperating with Sony. Give them the character fully. And you know what? Tom Holland will be the sacrifice on this altar, because sorry, buddy, your career is over after this. But Sony, you have full control over this character. What you gotta do?
Look, Sony, just give Marvel the live action Spider-Man and keep Miles. Just keep Miles and keep doing the animated stuff.
Yeah.
And keep doing, you're killing it.
And
when
the
it
games.
comes to the animated stuff and the video games, you're killing it. Just find a way to keep that in the deal. And just give up on the live action shit. It is not working for you.
Whoever is in charge with your movies is an idiot. Also, they are obsessed with the Sinister Six, and I don't know why. Settle the fuck down. Get rid of it.
It's like they're trying to build a Spider-Man Suicide Squad, which they should see that Suicide Squad didn't work. And it's like, fucking...
Yeah, it took the second one to even be decent.
Yeah.
I liked the second one.
I feel like the second one, they realized how bad the first one, and they just said, fuck it, we're going to do what we want, because it can't be worse. Yeah. And then it was actually fucking fun.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, is that concept you just can't take seriously. If you do, you have a bunch of villains that you're sticking into missions together who are doing this because they might die. That is too dark. That is too violent, at least in my opinion, for a comic movie. If you're going to be super violent...
At least in the current era of comic movies. Like...
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just like comics have gone through different eras, and we wouldn't be where we are in the era of comic movies if not for, like, you know, X3 and Spider-Man and some of the early comic book movies. You know, but we're obviously in a very different era that needs a very different type of movie. And maybe in a future era, just like in the comics now, you can make a comic about pretty much whatever you want in whatever style you want for whatever rating you want. You know, you can make your super serious villain comic book, and people are going to dig on that. And honestly, if you want to talk about super serious villain movie, I liked Joker, and that was a super serious villain movie. Did you not like... I don't know, you're giving me the look again. Did you not like Joker?
Are you talking about the Joaquin Phoenix one?
Yes.
Because, I mean, I think there's only one Joker movie.
Yeah. I liked it.
That's good for you.
We're all allowed our shitty opinions, okay?
Look, I'm just saying, I know you, so we're good, right?
Yeah.
The Joker is one of my yellow flag movies.
Okay.
If you hop up and you're like, I love the Joker, I am immediately on guard with you.
But just to be clear, I don't like Joker, just like I don't like the character Joker, because I'm like, oh yeah, like I want to be like that guy.
Like I said, I know you.
It's a well put together story that they put on the screen in an awesome way. And so you can have a villain's movie that you're taking seriously, but like just the way they did it, that wasn't it.
Yeah. We should do like a whole episode on yellow and red flag movies.
Yeah, and then we also we had to put the reasons.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Because like we just proved, just because I like that movie, that's not automatically. It's like, okay, it's like, man, I really like the Joker. Why?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I love Fight Club.
Yeah,
but if someone says they love Fight Club, it's immediately why? You gotta tell me right now why you love that movie. Oh, because I just think Tyler Durden's got the right. Nope, stop there.
That ain't it.
Stop.
That ain't it.
That's the wrong answer.
Not saying that I'm against the burn it all down mentality, but not like that.
The whys are the issue here.
Yeah. All right, let's pump out a few more of these things, because
let's do it.
A new Super Mario movie is announced to be in the works.
Nice.
That will come out in 2026.
That was inevitable.
They're saying nothing about it. They're not saying if it's a sequel. They're not saying even that it stars Mario, just that it will take place in that universe.
Just get Luigi's Mansion.
I would love that.
That's what I want.
I'd fucking love that.
Yeah.
You get another like kids horror movie that's like kind of spooky, but like the kids can still watch.
Yeah.
I'd love that. Like, give us like, an old Scooby-Doo style,
Yep.
Give me that shit. Let's see. What else did we have here? Oh, we were talking about all the layoffs. It looks like workers from Activision have formed the largest U.S. video game union yet, according to this headline from The Verge, which has 600 members across Texas, California, and Minnesota in order to combat these layoffs. So that is fucking awesome. This is even bigger than when Microsoft had that union. I think it was a 300 plus workers from ZeniMax, which you may know from working with Bethesda. This is what they need to be doing here. I mean, like, I can't do anything except praise these guys, because like that massive list I just read off that was just from this year, it's not going to slow down anytime soon. And if these workers are wanting to keep their jobs and wanting to get fair wages, like, this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sucks that, we had a period in our history where it was like unions are vital and necessary, because they were. And then there for a while, it's like, oh no, we have laws in place that will keep this stuff from happening. We got protections, and, we're being treated right. And then slowly but surely, they're starting to take all of that away. And it's like, we're back to unions are vital and necessary.
Yeah.
God, man.
I mean, and it really sucks, because in order for unions to work, the members who are in the union need to pay union dues.
Right.
Because the union needs money in order to do what it's going to do. And these workers are already underpaid as it is. Yep. And the idea of having to give up some of their money in order to possibly get better wages and better working conditions, it sucks.
Yeah.
But, like you said, that's where we're at.
Yep. I'll go ahead and hop into this one here. For any of you out there who are in the emulator world, that we do, with that whole shake-up with Yuzu that we just had, we do have a little bit of emulator news here. As you know, Switch, or for the Switch, I should say, Yuzu and Citra, they got taken down by Nintendo, through a settlement on a lawsuit. Drastic is going free on the Android store, so that's good news, out of the whole shakeup. Pizza Boy has stopped development on its stuff there, and Aether SX has been removed from the Play Store. And there are dozens of forks of Yuzu, with only one surviving past the initial week, which is Suyu. Now, all of this is unverified officially. You know, we don't have any sources to cite or anything like that. But we do have a guild officer that is scouring YouTube and podcasts and stuff, and just piecemealing together all of this for us. So, but yeah, I definitely know that we have some guild members out there that are they fuck with the emulator scene. So, you know, keep all that in mind. I think Yuzu is the biggest news to hit all of that.
Yeah. I think it might be because a lot of it might be because of Yuzu.
Oh yeah, probably.
Like I said, Nintendo, if you look, almost all of those emulators are Nintendo stuff.
Yep.
I mean, Drastic was the Nintendo DS, but on Android. Pizza Boy was for Game Boy Color. A lot of it was for Nintendo stuff, and Nintendo sent a clear message. And while, like we said, a clear legal precedent has not been set because it did not go to court, people are scared, and they have every right to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, not necessarily on the emulator side, but if any of you have Roku out there, or have used Roku out there, just to let you know, 15,000 accounts have been hacked, and they are being sold online. So pretty much
15,363 accounts to be exact.
Oh, so yeah, keep that in mind. You may want to
change a few passwords.
Yeah, definitely change up those passwords. Maybe let a randomizer make up your password for you. Something.
And look, if a lot of people don't point this out, obviously change your Roku password if you use Roku and have a Roku password. But if you use the same password for anything else, go change that password too. I know a lot of people don't talk about that, but go change that password too.
And as a worker in the IT world, as you are, I would like to point out, change your passwords.
Yeah.
Period. Don't keep them for years. Change them.
Yep.
So I know it's tough. In this world, we've got 82 freaking passwords to access all the things we need. It's okay. It's okay. You can do it.
Use a secure keychain app if you need to.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, it might not seem that big of a deal if somebody gets a hold of your Roku account and they're like, oh, they can watch stuff when I'm not watching it. Who cares? But if they get a hold of your account, there's a lot more they can do with your account. And like I said, if that same email and that same password is used on other accounts, like it is for most people, there's nothing stopping them from trying it on everything and just finding out what works and getting a hold of whatever information they want to.
Including stuff that you like to watch, which is embarrassing.
For you.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't speaking for anybody else. My Roku got hacked, and I got a personal email from the hacker. It's like, how dare you?
Really? Oh, man. It's like that. I'm gonna forget what podcast that was. It was just like, do you want me to put you on blast right now? You want me to put you on blast?
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, but that's gonna about cover it for this week. But email us at castersguild@gmail.com. Let us know if you're looking forward to Daggerheart and what you like about it. Let us know what you think Sony should do with Spider-Man. And let us know how much you miss Akira Toriyama.
And oh, damn it, you had to do that. How about this? I'll add on a bright note. Also, go ahead and post some of the things on your Roku list.
Thank you so much for tuning in this episode. Join us on the Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.